What's shaking, cats and kittens? Rob Lee here, and today's episode of The Truth in This Art is sponsored by a new online art platform called Fire and Bliss Creative. Fire and Bliss is the first art platform that I've seen that focuses on the art of the LGBTQ plus BIPOC and ally artists exclusively. And I have to say, the pieces are amazing. Whether you're looking specifically to add diverse art to your collection, or you have a space that needs a bit of updating, every single print on fireandbliss.com has been created by a diverse, independent artist who maintains full control over their art and their profit. I worked with Fire and Bliss to curate a collection of my favorite pieces, like Somewhere Blue by Wodrich Francois. Shop my favorites at fireandbliss.com/truth and get 20% off your first purchase at Fire and Bliss. Again, that's fireandbliss.com/truth and use the code TRUTH for 20% off your first purchase. Welcome to The Truth in This Art. I am your host, Rob Lee, and today I'm chatting with a Brazilian artist specializing in illustration and graphic design. Her previous clients include Microsoft, Xbox, Passport, Scotch, nonprofits, artists, and small businesses. Please welcome Camila Leão. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Robbie. I'm so happy to be here. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. And yeah, so I'm glad we were able to get this. Look, here's the thing that's happening. I feel like I'm getting all the Brazilians that are local onto the podcast. And then I'm just gonna have like a Brazilian series. It's like, yeah, so I'm big in Brazil now. We'll look at those downloads. Right. That's the thing. That's the thing. This is how I know where my reach is going.
That's right.
So I want to start off by getting and again welcoming you to the podcast, but start off by getting those vital stats. Tell us your background and tell us how you got started.
Yeah, sure. So like you mentioned, I was born and raised in São Paulo, Brazil, and I moved to Maryland 4 years ago, and I've been in Baltimore for 1 year now. So about my background, I started going to punk rock shows when I was about 13, 14 years old, and that's how I got introduced to creative people and art. When I started to pay attention to, album covers, flyers, T-shirts, all those kind of creative things. And that's when I saw people like around my age, like doing cool things, like getting there, put their hands on different things, on all sorts of creative projects. So, I felt like, oh, this is it. This is really cool. I want to be part of it. So in that same environment, I got to, have other influences like, DIY things, tattoo art, street art, and music, of course. I started my own bands around that age. And it was really cool. I got to do a lot of things, like book shows for other bands. And besides shows, we always wanted to bring, like, I was part of a collective that used to book shows, and we wanted to bring other things to shows. So like we had some workshops, art exhibitions. It was very like underground DIY, but it was really cool, to have the opportunity to bring other things. And we would like ask people to come in and, have talks like from social movements too. So it was really cool. And then I decided I wanted to go study graphic design. So I went to college, and that's when like I had a different perspective of art. It was more like a real world thing. I got a sense of marketing agencies, money, all those things. And around that same time, like I wasn't very happy working for an agency. So I started working for this mixed media artist, and he was like an independent artist. And that was really cool because I was studying at the same time, and I could have that other perspective of art that was like, get in touch with art galleries, being big art shows. And at the same time, he was like, I really identified with him because he also came from the punk rock scene, but he had like other influences, hip hop, rap and skateboard, so it was really cool. It was like a mix of influences that, helped me to make my art. And that's like, after I worked with him, then I just went freelance. I started just working for myself, and until I moved to the US. And now I'm working for a stock image company, and I'm also doing freelance work.
So when it comes to the Black guy stock image, right? Here's your reference right here. Just use this right here. Just like, yeah. And then that's going to make me more famous. Okay, stupid. So one of the things in doing the research and reading over your, because, I've been internet stalking you. So just so you know, tell me about the importance from your perspective of providing uplifting art in urban spaces. Because I think often, especially here in Baltimore and any urban like city, right? Well, that's the definition of city. We don't look at those spaces that might be blighted, that might not be the tourist attractions as being worthy of art and worthy of being beautified. So speak on the importance of providing that sort of art in those types of spaces.
Yeah, sure. That's how I feel like, growing up in São Paulo. That's like a giant city, this giant metropolis full of like depressing gray concrete. People think, oh, you're from Brazil, and you must be used to all the nature and everything, but not really. São Paulo, it's like this massive city, so it's great, like, and concrete for as far as your eye can see. But at the same time, there's always like these art manifestations, so there are like a lot of graffiti, street art, tags, it's really inspiring at the same time. You're in kind of depressing environment, but you see, life. You see people like wanting to express themselves and, say something, or just like show something beautiful for people who are there. And when I moved here and I got, I had the opportunity to work on a project painting urban structures in the city of Towson, I realized, how rewarding and important it is to paint these vibrant colors and have, like these designs in the urban areas. And I really, one thing that really touched me was when I was painting this electric BGE box in Towson. And this lady came up to me and she was like, well, that was during the Proudest, the cicadas big event. Yeah.
Why are you out here?
Yeah. So I was there painting some like floral imagery, and she was like, wow, this is really beautiful. I never walk here, but I'm walking today because of the cicadas, because I'm afraid of them. And now I'm going to change my route, to see your art, to look at your art. Yeah. And that was really touching. I feel like that's the point. When I started painting these structures, it was right after the pandemic, a little after. So people were like starting to go back to the streets. Right. So it's nice, to welcome them and, provide something that they can look at or, feel, just have that good feeling, that uplifting feeling. So yeah, it's important.
That's fair. That's very important. Thank you for sharing that experience, by the way. But yeah, it's huge where you go to certain areas because like, oh wow, that's over here. Why is this house? Why is this house like abandoned? Or why is no one paying attention to these particular things there? And I think, and I like hearing from artists when there's an intentionality of I'm putting this over here in this area because people need to be mindful of it, and having that almost like real time feedback loop from someone. It's like, no, I'm walking this way now because I see your work. Sure. And that's really good. Your work is beautiful. Like like I said, I've been stalking. Just so you know.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So going into it, I think this next question kind of hammers on and double down a little bit on that last point. How does your work comment on current social or political issues?
Right. So yeah, like I mentioned, going to punk shows at an early age exposed me to like radical and progressive politics.
Hmm.
So that's how it shaped my view of the world, and that's totally reflected in my art. I feel like art can be transformative. It has like this transformative power, and we can definitely educate and inspire, and create a better world with it. So, I'm super happy to like donate my time and my talent, to like whatever project that is aligned with my overall ethics, so that's really important to me. And I'm so happy that, lately, even after I moved here and I didn't have any like network, any connections at all, because when I moved, I didn't know anybody, but I got to participate and, produce some artwork for some projects that are, about diversity, about the climate crisis subject, so like create some awareness and, connect that with how I feel about my way of viewing the world. So,
Yeah, I think being able to, we, especially with what I'm getting off of you when you mentioned being involved in the punk scene. Oh,
right.
those folks, they don't care. They don't believe in politics at all. They're just good old. No, it's like, no, we have something to say, and you're going to hear it. Damn it.
Yeah.
And being aware of that and having that reflected in your art, I like hearing that from you. And
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things with it, when people are on the fence and they're not sure, it's like, well, what is our art saying?
Right.
Tell me more about the artist. It's like, well, you're hearing it. You're hearing about the artist right now, and from them, So I think
Yeah.
part of it is controlling one's narrative as to what they're about and what their values are and what their ethics are. So I
Yeah.
commend you for really speaking on that.
Right.
Now, this is one. As we progress, I start to get rid of all of the goodwill I'm creating. Right. So I added a
Right.
new question that you don't have.
Okay.
But this is a good one, and
Mm-hmm.
I've become more interested in how artists reflect, right? So tell me about reflection for you as like viewing the world today, viewing your work, viewing how you fit within the scene, and just generally, what do you reflect upon, and what is your process upon reflection?
You mean reflection of like thinking?
Yeah, like really processing the situation. Like you might reflect on this podcast. It's like, yo, he is
Mm-hmm.
a jerk or whatever, like he is not that good. Whatever the thing might be, like
Mm-hmm.
when do you set up time to reflect? Like when you're having art scene or you're bringing in art or you're going to a show, when do you have time to reflect, and what is your process like in that regard?
Right. I think I'm always reflecting, especially when it's related to art. I'm always like really like trying to have like a deep look, on things. So, try to get what was the feel that the artist, had behind the scenes, like what they meant with that, and how, what was the overall like vibe, the environment they wanted to create with that. And I think that's reflected in other things too. Like, so being in bands, that's something that, it causes you a reflection. Like I had to, compose some lyrics. And so that was like the moment that I felt most reflective about everything, so like I had to like voice my opinions, I had to put like words you know, into that kind of art.
Yeah.
So yeah, I try to, be as much reflective as I can.
Yeah, I'm a reflective and pensive person, and you've listened to enough of these to try to find these kind of next level questions, or really get to a lower level, a deeper level with a person, and
Right.
you can have the hokey. So tell me about your art. No, how many times does someone ask that? But if someone's asking, really, tell me about the person behind the art. What is baked into
Right.
the art? What is painted
Yeah.
in to what one's doing? That's where the root of it is. So reflection,
Yeah,
consideration, being mindful is very key.
for
So
sure.
looking at when someone's putting out work, we just look at it as, okay, they did the work, it's out, now it's for us to consume. It feels like a transaction. And I really want to know, like, really, for one to produce this, what goes along with it? For one to do their work, how are they feeling? What are they eating? It's like, what is what's that person like when they're producing this great piece of work, this masterpiece, if you will? Speaking of which, Speaking of which, when you're crafting the masterpiece, when we craft our masterpieces, it takes time and effort that isn't always noticed. We focus on the end result. So what did you have to develop, try, or learn to really create your work? Obviously, it's, education's a piece of it. So tell me more about that.
That's funny because, of course, like I went to college, but I feel like my life experiences, like brought in so much of, what I tried to make in my art. But of course, like I'm always trying to learn, and develop new things. I feel like my art started like in one way, like I wasn't so much into like digital art. So I used to, make some paintings, collages, all sorts of things. And when I decided to, get it more like, like a digital vibe, because I was studying graphic design and, my whole world was like graphics, so I tried to like mix them together. So I would paint like some scribbles, or I would like staples a bunch of papers, and I would go and take pictures or scan those textures and put that into the digital art. So in the beginning was like a big mix, and later on I was like, I should try to do the whole process like digitally, see how it's going to be. So that's like when I decided to get a tablet. So I started to draw in the tablet, and then I pretty much make my whole process digital. But I feel like there's no formula. If I want to change, if I want to mix like different elements, I'll do that. But I'm always trying to learn new things, trying to improve new techniques. I'm like that kind of person, that loves to do like all sorts of things. Like I've taken like ceramic classes, I've done like silversmithing, I've done all you can imagine. So I love just like art and art expressions in like different ways, so I'm always trying to do that, even if it's not like on the art itself, but on the side, I feel that need of like also doing things with my hand, because now my work, it's pretty much digital, but I like, to do things, build my own things. But what I try to bring in while I'm doing this digital work is to, like, I started to create my own brushes and textures, and I've been trying to learn like how to, manage and work on different softwares too. So
I think you do that deep. I think you're like me in that regard, where it's just like, look, I got to dive into this. I need to learn something. I got to add something there. And I think when you become a one-trick pony, it's like, I know how to do this, and this is all I know how to do. It's like, that's great, but if you're unable to do that, then what? If they don't make the software that you use, like for me doing this as a digital medium, right? What other ones can you use, or how are you going to keep doing the thing? Because like I use I know how to use like 4 different audio platforms to record this. And a lot of people are like, I know how to use the one. It's like, you need to learn at least one other one just in case. I turn into MacGyver when it comes to capturing audio. And it's like, I got to get it some way. And I think and that's just a pursuit. Like someone may ask, hey, what are you doing? I was like, reading this thing on how to use this other recording platform, or how to get audio in this fashion, or how to clean up audio. So there's this idea that you're presenting of like, well, I'm going to learn this other thing. I'm going to learn something new.
I feel like it gives us like a different perspective too. Like we can always be prepared for something else. There's always like, there will be a different tool that you can explore. So I like that, having like knowing how to manage or work with different softwares, platforms, whatever it is, or mediums, if it's something that it's, like a hands-on job, like a painting, you have different options or, yeah.
I think it enables you to even see what you're doing differently with whatever your preferred platform or tool is. You're like, oh, I understand that better now. And I think we learn other skills that are complementary. It's like, well, I might do data, but it may make me think differently on how to make my podcast, or I might do some marketing stuff. It's like, oh, well, this is, let's say, photography month, for sake of argument. I should put out some photography interviews. I shouldn't just hold on to those. So it's just learning these new things serve what you already know and just makes it more robust. Yeah,
sure.
Tell me about your choices when it comes to color. Color interests me. Your stuff is very vibrant. So do certain colors have specific meaning for you, and what colors do you choose most often?
Right. Yeah, I try to use like vibrant colors because I'm just like super attracted to them. But sometimes it really depends on the concept or on the project I'm working on. Sometimes colors will definitely have meaning, even if it's like to represent something specific or to, just create like an atmosphere, but it's not a rule for me, I won't try to like have a specific meaning for every work I do. So, but I'm always like creating color palette, so I'm always trying to switch the colors because I have like some favorite colors, but I don't want to make like, every work, I don't want to use the same colors for every work I do. So I'm trying to switch or combine different colors, I like to add variations too. And it's funny, sometimes like I have a digital piece and then I look at it and I was like, you know what? I don't like these colors. I'm just going to change the whole thing and I recolor everything. Yeah.
All right. This next question, so there's two more questions here. This next question it's a little different. So I'm going to change something and I'm going to ask you the question. So don't be shocked when I do this.
Okay.
All right. So now my video is gone, right?
Right.
All right. What do you remember from what you saw, and what did you forget, and why do you think you remembered one thing and forgot another thing from what you saw? It could have been in the image, it could have been what I was wearing, could have been what I was speaking into, things of that nature. What did you remember? What did you forget, and why?
Wow. I wasn't expecting that.
That was a question that someone presented to me the other day of like, what are you really receiving? And then it's like, what's the most prominent thing? And that's I guess that's where we're going at. So what's the most prominent thing that you remember?
That I remember, it was, facial features, like, I'm talking about you, right? Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah,
I was looking. Okay. So
it was somebody else that was in the background. I don't know why they're here. No, I'm kidding.
Right. Yeah. The facial features was the first thing I can remember, the smile and gesture, how you articulate, and the beanie, the hat.
I've always got a hat on. It's like a logo.
Right. Let me see what I don't remember, what I forgot. I don't know. I think I can picture everything pretty clear in my mind. The background, it was like...
What colors were I wearing? Was I wearing?
It was gray. I'm not sure now. Was it gray? Or black?
So we're back.
Oh, yeah, gray. You're right. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
But apparently that's an exercise that one uses. It was in a leadership course, and they were just talking about like, what is the first thing that pops in your mind? And it might be that's what one looks at when they're appreciating art. It might be that's what one
Right.
looks like when they're looking at an album cover or making marketing purchases. So
That's really cool.
thank you for indulging me with that.
I like it.
Yeah, because I'm like, was there a microphone? So we were in the class and we would have
Right.
people put on the video, then take it off, change something, like literally put on a different shirt. And it's like, what's changed? And just to see
Oh, I
if people
see.
were, yeah. So it was interesting.
Yeah, very cool.
Last question I have before I get to these really weird questions.
Okay.
So when is creative work ready to share? Maybe your own practice, not necessarily something that has a deadline attached to it per se. When you're doing your own work, when do you feel it is ready to share, and what factors prevent or encourage you from taking creative risks?
That's something I actually struggle with. I feel like there's always something that can be changed. I can redo the colors, like I mentioned. I can apply like a different effect, or I can add another element. I try to not be like too much of a perfectionist. So when I have like that, the feeling that, oh, okay, I'm satisfied. How it looks, with how it looks, with the result, I'll just put it down, I'll put it away, I'll do something else, and then I'll come back and I'll have like a sort of like a clear eye, clear mind, and then when I look at it, I'm gonna know for sure if I'm happy with it, and or if I want to make any changes. So that's how I try to do that, because otherwise, if I just keep working on it, I'm going to change it 1,000 times, especially like in the digital format. It's just so easy to like redo something. Or like delete something,
Yeah.
So, and what encouraged me to take creative risks? Yeah, that's a tricky one.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like I've always been like a sort of an introvert, a shy kid. So that's definitely a factor. Yeah.
Surprise. So shy. Shocking.
Yeah, super shy. I had no idea. Like, and yeah, that was one thing. Like moving to a different country, not like really knowing the language. Like of course I worked a lot on it in the past 4 years, but those have all like been factors that kind of made me have a little bit of fear, about some things of like how to present my art.
Yeah.
And yeah, but let me see, what encouraged me, it's definitely like how I want to keep doing this, so like, yeah, okay, I'm shy. I don't really like have a specific network, because in Brazil, like I was kind of like I had this comfort zone, like I knew I knew people in the art world, I had my friends, I had my family, I had all that support around me. So like whenever I wanted to take some risk, like I knew, if it didn't work, I could plan, something different and have that support. And that's something that's definitely something that it's harder here. But at the same time, like I feel like I can focus on my work and what I'm doing right now and improve, my ideas, my techniques, and that's something encouraging to me.
That's great. That is great. So you know what time it is, right?
Yeah.
Time for some rapid fire questions.
Right.
So with all of the goodwill that I've established and all of the smoothness, all of that nervousness you may have had early on is gone, right? It's going to come back. It's all going to come back. I'm sorry.
Coming back.
So the way that this works, you know how this works. Let me not even. So, all right, I got 5 questions.
I'm a fan of your podcast.
Thank you. That means a lot. So I got 5 questions for you. All right.
All right.
What is your proudest moment as a creative?
Oh, wow. My proudest moment. This is hard.
I think I'm going to put a timer in here for future references, because people are like, I don't know what this is. Like, yeah, right. I'm just joking.
Proudest moment. There are a couple of like moments that I felt proud. some of them were like, okay, my family is finally understanding what I do, and they feel, they feel good about what I'm doing. Like they feel like I'm doing this for the right reasons. So that's important. And the other proudest moments were just, being able to work with projects that I really care and that I think is relevant for the world we live right now. So, just to give an example, like the most recent project, I designed a T-shirt for this indigenous community in Brazil. And that was also really rewarding and important, and I had this message, that Brazil is an indigenous land. And that was really I felt good that I was invited to be part of this. And, yeah.
That's great. Next one. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? It's really hard. I was afraid you would ask me this because I'm
you hear it all the time, don't you?
Yeah. But I'm the kind of person that I watch a movie and, the next day I'm not going to remember half of it.
Okay, I'll frame it this way.
I'm really bad.
What was the last movie you watched?
Oh, the last movie. That's even worse.
That's even worse?
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Favorite
this is really
actor?
Hard for me. Those are all bad. You had no idea how bad I am with names, or names of movies.
It's like, what's the first movie you've forgotten? Well, I can remember. I can tell you that one. All of them. No.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I've been watching a lot of TV shows, but movies. I'm trying to think. What is the last one?
Give me a TV show then.
TV show. Let me see. I'm telling you, I'm really bad with this stuff.
I'm a big TV nerd.
A memory of an amoeba, I have no memory. Sometimes I start watching a movie and I'm like, I feel like I've seen this, but I only remember by the end of the movie, and my partner gets really annoyed with me because of that.
Really funny.
That's funny.
Man, we can just skip it. Okay. Hey, that's a first. I've skipped it. See?
Yeah. All
right. Are you a collector? Do you collect anything? And if so, what do you collect?
Yeah, I'm collect vinyl records.
Nice.
So I'm young, I've been collecting all these records, and I had a lot of books. To be honest, I used to collect a lot of things like toy art, but after I went on tour with my band and I lived off, of a backpack, I had just only a backpack with me, and I toured the country for 2 months.
Oh, wow.
I was like, I don't need a lot of stuff, so I went back and I got rid of everything. It was just a life-changing experience for me, because I realized, I don't need to collect all those things, but I'm still attached to my records. But the toys and these other things, I totally got rid of it. And I still collect art, from friends, and just little things like papers, little drawings people are going to give me. Yeah, I like to have those little memories.
I collect a few things, but sometimes you got to purge. I'm building out a vinyl collection. I have maybe about 10 records right now. It's small, but I just started like last year maybe.
Okay.
And but I have a lot of toys in here. This is why the background is blurry, so you can't see all of my toys. And you're like, you're 37 and got toys. What's your problem? And I would be like, this interview is over. Click. Okay, so I've noticed certain themes in your work. I've seen animals represented. I've seen different iconography represented: the sun, moon, so on. What is your favorite thing to create and illustrate, rather?
Oh, right. I think
that bear animals. Pops, by the way. Yeah.
I just love to I started drawing pets last year, and it was really fun. I love animals. I've been in the animal rights world for a while now. So I just love animals in general, but pets, I have a special thing for them, especially dogs. I'm totally a dog lover. So yeah, I really like drawing pets and animals or any nature related things. Those are my favorite for sure.
I might have a 90-pound furry friend to introduce you to.
Oh.
He's a big sheeperdoodle. He's a big baby.
Oh,
He's great though. He's great. Now this is one that I've added in, so you probably haven't heard this one before, this rapid fire question, but this is one of my new favorites. Okay. What is the first letter of your favorite curse word?
The first letter of my favorite curse word.
It can be in Portuguese too if you want. That would be great.
Okay. Yeah, I think D is the one.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell me that off mic. So thank you for sharing
I would say
that.
damn. I'm sorry, I wasn't supposed to say.
No, you're fine. That's great. So that's pretty much it for me. All the questions that I have. But one, I want to thank you for being on this podcast. And two, I want to invite you and encourage you to tell the fine folks where to check out you, your work, all of that good stuff. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I mean, I've been listening to your podcast and you have no idea like how impactful it was, as an immigrant coming here, like not really knowing Baltimore. It has helped me a lot. And I really love like listening to everybody that is here. And yeah, thank you so much for the work you do. And well, whoever wants to connect, and you can find me on Instagram. It's my name, Camila X Leão at sorry, I was about to say my email, but that's it. I'm on Instagram. If you type Camila Leão, you can find me. That's pretty much where I have all my work. I'm working on my website right now, but yeah, Instagram is the best way. So there you have it, folks. I want to again thank Camila Leão for coming on to the podcast. And I am saying that there is art in and around Baltimore. You just got to look for it.